so that's the battle, isn't it?
How did you, so like you, it's an unusual path. You think about it, you're like, right, you go to a gym. Is it the same gym? Is it the same gym you've always been at?
No.
So you go to the gym, you start training, people like you, they're competing in the gym, and they're like, you should compete. Like, you're not really following body. You're like, well, I'll give it a go. You show up there, you're skinny. You're like, I'm a streaky pish. You go there, you're like, right, start lifting weights, put a bit of size on, and they're like, go and compete. And you're like, right, okay, let me have a crack at this. And I mean, anybody that knows anything about bodybuilding 5 days out of 7, that's like, it's a miracle that you.
It is, aye.
You must have a good metabolism.
I do, to be fair, which is handy when it comes to a prep because I still got a lot of food. But on the flip side, when I'm trying to grow, the amount of food I need to eat is fucking ridiculous. Like,
when you're trying to put on the size, like how hard is it to get the food in?
I've been up at 9,000-10,000 calories a day easily.
Like, what is that like for people that can't comprehend what that's like? What would be a day eating? If you're sitting there going 10,000 calories, like what's that look like in terms of meals?
It's a lot of chicken and rice.
Even when you're bulking?
Aye. We do, I get to a point where I have to throw in things like, which are like more calorie dense, like your squares bars and Pop-Tarts and muffins, etc., to get the easier carbs in. But I've, like, for example, my rice portions have been at like 175 gram pre-cook. So rice roughly triples by the time you've cooked it. So it's a big meal. So that's one meal of.
And like, see, when you were thin, were you eating a lot? Like, have you had to sort of train your digestive system to be able to handle that much food over the years?
I mean, like, obviously, I didn't. You can't just go in at eating 10,000 calories. Like, it's taken time. I mean, like I say, even when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, folk at the gym had gave me like a training plan, but when it came to eating, I was just eating fucking pasta and peanut butter sandwiches, thinking I'd get massive. But to be fair, it worked to an extent. And then it was only before, I think, when did I get my first coach? Was in like the August the year before I competed, and I competed in like May or something. So that was when I kind of started eating properly. But still, it was like 5 days out of 7.
How did it come about that you were only doing 5 out of 7?
I got the weekend off, didn't I?
But you gave yourself, or was that your coach?
It's just that I don't even. It was never, obviously. My coach never says take the weekend off. It was just when it came to the weekend, I just couldn't. I wasn't in the routine of doing it at the weekend, and it was something I found hard to get into. If you know what I mean. It took me a while. Obviously now it's like every day, regardless of whether I'm off season or I'm prep or whatever. It's just habit now, but back then it was, when it came to the weekend, I'd obviously be wanting to do stuff, go out. I was still drinking back then. I don't really drink anymore.
What kind of impacts drinking got when you're really pushing it? Because I mean, that anybody that wants to pursue the best possible performance, you can't sort of slack anywhere. So you're looking for every possible edge. And it's a double-edged sword, because you're looking for any gain that you can get, but you're also looking to cut anything that'll pull you back. And people think drinking doesn't do it. Like the people of anybody that thinks drink doesn't do it to you haven't pushed themselves hard enough. Because if you've pushed yourself hard enough, the one thing that you know about alcohol is it takes a big bit of wind out your sails. So how did you find it? Because you were saying there you were doing your prep, you were at the weekend, you were doing it 5 out of 7. There was 2 days off. You were still drinking at the time. Like, how long did it take you for you like, this isn't working for me?
To be fair, when it came to the drinking, what actually probably steered me away for that was I did the doors for a few years. So I was always working at the weekend anyway. So,
right.
So I wasn't drinking then. But I mean, I just got, my habits got a lot better. But in terms of like, even until probably the last, I managed to get up to, I got to a stage where I was probably doing 6.5 days good, until probably the last 3 or 4 years, where it's gone to 7. And a large part of that, I would have said, came down to my missus. Like the one I was with before, it was like wanting to go out and do stuff at the weekend and that, and can you just like leave your food today and we'll go. Do you know what I mean? But now, get on with it now. She trains and she competed this year as well. So we're in the same routine. So it's easy now in that respect.
Way
so
much less
probably
resistance.
The people around me changed a lot as well, actually, because like again going back, the friends circles that I was back then, they were wanting to do things at the weekend and drink, etc., which again strays you away from sticking to the diet and stuff. So that's probably the biggest change, is just who's around me. Yeah,
it's funny because like for people that are listening to this podcast, you're 6'4", 6'5", covered in tattoos, huge dude, just competed, lean, in shape. You know,
almost.
You know, a wee bit to go. 4 weeks out. Now, that's from a bodybuilding perspective. Anybody that looks at you is going, this guy's in incredible condition.
Yeah.
And like the general population, people are just going, that's just a big guy. And I really enjoy speaking to people that have done the things like you've done, because it's, you go into it from what you begun with, and you constantly adapt and adjust and tighten up everything. And it's all your mindset, because your mindset is, look, I've got a goal, I've got a focus that I want to get to. And you have a constant battle of, right, I know what I would like, but I know what's the best. And what's best for you and what you like. You have this total battle all the time. You know, and like you said, you know, maybe can you leave your food today? Or maybe I could get away with that little bit of junk. Maybe I could diet 5 days out of 7. Maybe I could go out with the guys because I've been good. And it's that inner voice, you know, the one I'm talking about, that inner bitch that's trying to destroy you all the time.